Hi everybody, Golden Era Bookworm here. As many of you know, I am a scientist in the Swiss task force team fighting against the coronavirus that has gripped the world. Scientists and medical teams around the world are fighting against time to prevent the spread of this very real threat. Today I participated in an online live conference on the coronavirus held by Dr. Garoli from Italy, who addressed the world on what the latest treatments are and what we as a community can do to prevent the further spread of this disease. For this reason, I thought I would inform everybody on the current dietary advice on how to prevent the coronavirus infection. Now, understand again that this collective information comes directly from the studies and observations from the coronavirus cases in China, Italy, and France, which represent some of the most worst affected areas in the world. What do we know about the coronavirus? Well, the virus identified as COVID-19 can bring a variety of symptoms and in the most severe cases causes pneumonia and death. The highest risk group, of course, are the elderly and those who are immunocompromised. It can affect people of all ages. However, there are several things you can do to prevent you from catching this very real disease, including the preventative measures listed in this particular coronavirus guideline as an example. The guidelines from the US are the same as those as around the world. Ideally, try and work from home whenever possible. If you work in a critical infrastructure industry, for example, I work in the hospital industry, well then you have to do the best you can to follow the guidelines that are listed in your country to prevent further spread of the disease. And that does involve good hygiene, which we'll talk about in a minute. You want to avoid social gatherings and when possible use drive-through pickup or delivery options. You want to avoid traveling to places, for example, that are going to have a lot of people, right? Social visits, etc., things like that. Things that are not necessary, avoid that. Do not visit elderly, where the retirement homes, etc., nursing homes, basically where there's going to be a lot of elderly people. You want to avoid these places at all costs. And of course, as I mentioned, you want to practice good hygiene. What does good hygiene indicate? Well, wash your hands, especially after touching especially frequently used items or surfaces. We're talking about door handles, answering the phone, right? Things where you can imagine a lot of people are touching. For example, the sinks, the handles of the sinks when you're in the toilet, right? As I already mentioned, doorways, the phone, etc. All these things are frequently touched by people. If you're on the bus, when you touch that bus to stop, or you have to pull a lever or whatever it is to stop the bus, you want to wash your hands, especially when you're touching these surfaces where that are frequently touched by people. If you do find yourself sneezing or coughing, please try and do that into the inside of your elbow or use a disposable tissue. And of course, as I already mentioned, disinfect items and surfaces that are frequently used. Not just wash your own hands, but try and disinfect those surfaces too. And if you find yourself, of course, with any cold-like symptoms, it would be very smart to stay home. Before going into any great detail into the diet recommendations, if I am actually today not going to talk about things like vitamin C, echinacea, probiotics, or other possible preventative aids or measures, it is because they were not discussed in today's worldwide conference. I will only be mentioning natural preventative foods and herbs, etc., that have been proven to be effective against the coronavirus, virus infections, or pneumonia. Now onto the diet. The gist of it is you want to have an antioxidant rich diet, which is going to help you battle oxidative stress. This means avoiding junk food completely if possible, and that means sugars, chips, all that stuff. A lot of people are now staying home and they think that, oh well, I'm just going to kick my feet up, watch TV all day and just eat junk food. No, this is not the right thing to do. It is not recommended at all by the medical community. It's recommended to actually try and keep active at home and eat well. Of course, you want to probably reduce your calories because you're probably going to have a more sedentary lifestyle, but it doesn't mean you can go all out and eat junk food. You want to have an antioxidant rich diet. This is the time to really try and take care of yourself. Now, how to determine antioxidant rich foods? In the medical community, we have actually something called an ORAC score. An ORAC score basically determines the ability, I guess the oxygen, it actually stands for the oxygen radical absorbance capacity of a certain food item. That's what ORAC stands for. And therefore it signifies its capacity to stop oxidative stress, which is going to cause inflammation in your body. Having high inflammation in your body is going to increase your chance of getting this virus. And so you want to have foods that are high on the ORAC score, high with the capacity to prevent oxidative stress, to prevent inflammation. And these are listed here. Essentially, foods that are high, for example, in antioxidants include blueberries, elderberries, I should say, spinach, beetroot, Brussels sprouts, cumin seeds, ginger, herbs. I mean, these are all great. Preferably had raw, of course, so you can have the full benefit of their effects. And the ones listed green here, highlighted in green in this table, you can see include triphala powder, cloves, Indian gooseberries, cinnamon, turmeric. They have the highest, at least from what we discussed in the World Conference today, the highest ORAC score. Now, of course, not everybody has access to triphala powder, which I believe is a combination of 3 different herbs that is used, I believe, in traditional medicines. But most of us will have access, for example, to cloves, to fresh cinnamon, turmeric, right? These things, which are readily available at your shopping centers, can be taken. As you can see, their ORAC score is very, very high, and they should provide you with some extra antioxidants, enriching your diet, helping you prevent getting this disease. The way that you can, or I should say, the way to explain how these antioxidants help in preventing your diet, for example, having these foods will actually protect your outer and inner skin, which are called your epithelial tissues. They'll actually protect you from being infected in these regions. For example, it'll protect you from getting infected, especially from the avenues such as your mouth, your nose, and your lungs, which are known as the T-zone. These are the regions the coronavirus is most likely to try and infect you. And so by eating these foods, by having this antioxidant rich diet, it's going to protect this T-zone, and it's going to protect your epithelial tissues, and hopefully you have a good chance of preventing getting an infection. So today, one of the things that was talked about heavily was zinc, which is very, very important in battling the coronavirus. And I'm going to go through a couple of studies that were talked about today, just very briefly so you can understand the importance of zinc. Chloroquine, which is actually being used successfully at the moment to inhibit the coronavirus, is actually a zinc ionophore. Now notice that this study was performed in 2005 on the SARS coronavirus. The fact that there are many studies that have been performed on SARS actually helps scientists nowadays in fighting the coronavirus, because we have a lot of information on coronavirus-like infections. And chloroquine is actually being used right now, I believe, in France and Italy, and I think also in China, to prevent and to help patients that are actually suffering from coronavirus. The great thing about this particular drug is that it's also a zinc ionophore. What does that mean, a zinc ionophore? Well, it actually helps zinc to be transported into your cells, and zinc will help in killing the virus. That's all I can really say in layman's term to help you understand the importance of zinc. Zinc is very important, especially with the elderly, because it is found that in the elderly population, zinc levels are lower than average. And this low zinc status presents a risk factor, a very high risk factor actually, for developing pneumonia in the elderly. And of course, coronavirus being able to cause pneumonia. This obviously gives the coronavirus greater access to this kind of patient, to the kind of patient that would have a low zinc level in their bodies, which unfortunately are mostly the elderly population. And for this reason, zinc supplementation or having foods high in zinc would be highly recommended. Now, what are the foods that are very high in zinc? Well, let's start off with some vegan and vegetarian options. And of course, meat eaters can eat this too. Us omnivores definitely can eat this. Foods that are high in beta-glucans and zinc include mushrooms, especially shiitake mushrooms, and of course, oatmeal. These are excellent sources that you can eat throughout the day. I will be listing a suggested meal plan based on the discussions we had today. Now, another excellent source of zinc is seeds and nuts, and I have to stress fresh seeds and nuts. So don't go off and start buying packaged nuts and seeds, because these are full of sulfides and they definitely do not help your immune system, right? You don't want to have sulfides right now. They actually help create an inflammatory reaction in your body. You don't want to do that. You want to, go back to nature. Get some fresh pecans and cashews that you have to hull yourself, that you have to crack open yourself, right? Do that. Don't start buying packaged packaged nuts and seeds, which are not going to really do you much good, right? Plus, they're probably stored for God knows how long, and a lot of the nutritional value is gone. Now, the best nuts and seeds that you can incorporate into your diet include poppy seeds, pumpkin seeds, pine nuts, macadamia nuts, pecans, cashews, sunflower seeds, sesame seeds, and coconuts. Now, besides also having nuts and seeds, fresh nuts and seeds in your diet, here is a great list of foods that are very high in zinc. Actually, the top 10 the top 10 foods that are highest in zinc include oysters, beef, chicken leg, especially things like tofu, lean pork chops, hemp seeds, lentils, low-fat yogurt, and we've already, of course, talked about oatmeal and shiitake mushrooms. Incorporating these in your diet is going to be excellent at preventing the coronavirus infection. And again, at the end of the video, I'm going to provide a suggested meal plan that I've just come up with that incorporate these different foods, meal plans for vegans, vegetarians, and meat eaters, omnivores. Now, on top of the already mentioned antioxidant rich foods and foods high in zinc, you want to try also and include cruciferous vegetables, which are very high in sulforaphane, these are very hard words to say, and isothiocyanates. These are also going to give you an antioxidant boost and really help your epithelial lining of the lung. Again, these epithelial cells, which are basically the axis regions of the coronavirus, they're going to actually give you a protective effect. So having these foods which contain these very active compounds are going to protect you from getting the coronavirus. They are not a guarantee. They're going to help you they're going to help you in preventing acquiring this horrible disease. So in order to preserve the compounds in these vegetables, what you want to have is, for example, things like broccoli, but only steam them for 3 minutes. You don't want to have them completely boiled and soggy. You want to have them crisp. So only steam them for 3 minutes, and you can have as much as 300 to 500 grams per person for 10 days. That's really going to boost the levels of sulforaphane in your body, and it's going to help you. It's going to at least help in preventing catching this disease. Now, finally, here we have radish. Radish, also known as Raphanus sativus, is also very good at helping protect yourself from acquiring these viral infections. Believe it or not, it was actually used in the Middle Ages to fight lung infections. It has antiviral properties, as shown in several research studies, and of course it contains sulforaphane. And again, one can incorporate this in your diet, such as in soups, in salads, etc., which I will now talk about. So here we have a whole food meal plan for vegans, vegetarians, and omnivores, meat eaters, right? For breakfast, for example, if you're a vegan, highly recommended is to have oatmeal, again, very high in zinc, blueberries, antioxidant rich fruits, fresh seeds and nuts, again, very high in zinc. This is going to really help protect you. If you're a vegetarian, you can add yogurt. If you're also a vegetarian or meat eater and you want to boost up your breakfast even further, of course you can add eggs and whatever you like in that respect. Of course, what's very, very important is to try and have these foods that are high in antioxidants, high in zinc, right? Herbal tea, having chai, for example. If you don't know what chai is, it's basically a herbal mixture that comes from India. I believe most stores sell that now as a herbal tea. You can have it, they come in bags and you can really see the ingredients in there. And what are the ingredients? Of course, cloves, cinnamon, these foods, or I should say these herbs, these spices actually, these spices that are very high in antioxidants, that are very high on the ORAC score. Remember I mentioned cinnamon, turmeric, and cloves. Chai contains cloves and cinnamon, so having chai is actually going to really help. Having herbal teas as well, like hibiscus, very high in antioxidants. Green tea, also high in antioxidants, are excellent. For lunch, what is recommended, for example, for a vegan, you can have lentils and or mushrooms. Again, just steamed Brussels sprouts, not boiled. Remember to have these cruciferous foods, vegetables that is, not soggy, not completely boiled to death, right? You want to keep them fresh. So you want to lightly steam those Brussels sprouts. Have a salad with radish. Don't be afraid to add dressing with raw garlic. Make your own dressing at home. Add raw garlic, freshly ground pepper, freshly cut herbs like oregano, thyme, right? This would make an excellent lunch for any vegan or vegetarian. Now, if you're a meat eater and you want to have some beef, go ahead. Have some beef with crushed black pepper, fresh herbs on top. Eat it with a salad containing radish. Again, season it with fresh, raw, crushed garlic, ground pepper, freshly cut herbs as listed above. Again, my stomach's growling just from talking about all this, but it's good food and it's immunoprotective food, right? For dinner, if you're a vegan or vegetarian, you can also have, for example, a stir fry or a soup with shiitake mushrooms and or tofu with broccoli, dressed again with some raw garlic and herbs, right? Or you can, for example, have chili beans. A great chili bean recipe is having, for example, red kidney beans with fresh raw garlic, herbs, turmeric, again, very high on the ORAC score. Freshly ground pepper. Eat it with some vegetables, some freshly steamed vegetables as listed above. If you're a meat eater, you can have oysters, for example, or have some pork chops seasoned again with fresh herbs, raw garlic. You can eat that with some freshly steamed broccoli and shiitake mushrooms, or have a good old chicken soup. Make sure you crush those bones and then sieve it after with freshly cut broccoli, herbs, raw garlic, turmeric, black pepper. Again, these are all foods that are going to help you, help your immune system. They're going to help protect you and hopefully help you in preventing catching this disease. Snacks that you can include during the day: yogurt, antioxidant rich fruits like pomegranate, blueberries, etc., fresh nuts and seeds, as I've mentioned, fresh cacao. You can't go wrong. This is a great list, again, that we discussed today in the World Conference on the coronavirus. So I hope you have enjoyed watching this video, and I hope if you've enjoyed the meal plan that's suggested, I hope you've learned something as well. So now that I'm at the end of this video, I would just like to summarize in quickly stating, to prevent yourself from catching this disease and to help your family, your friends, and everybody around you, please follow the guidelines. Be hygienic, be smart about it, try and stay at home if possible, clean those surfaces and frequently touched objects, clean your hands, and protect yourself and those you love. Eat well. Eat a whole food based diet with some of the foods that I've mentioned already, the herbs, the antioxidant rich foods and herbs and spices that I've already talked about. And of course, keep training. Train at home. Download an app, whatever. But most people used to train without all this fancy equipment a long time ago. I mean, if you've got a pair of dumbbells or a barbell at home, you're set, right? But even if you don't, you can train with your own body weight and still keep in shape. This is definitely not the time to overexhaust yourself and compromise your immune system. Train and be smart, eat well, and follow the guidelines. That's it for me. This is the Golden Era Bookworm. Hope you've enjoyed the video, and please stay safe. Bye for now.